Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The most popular among the Aryan religions is Hinduism. Hindu is actually a Persian word which stands for the inhabitants of the region beyond the Indus Valley. However, in common parlance, Hinduism is a blanket term for an assortment of religious beliefs, most of whom are based on the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita. Hinduism is commonly perceived as a polytheistic religion. Indeed, most Hindus would attest to this by professing belief in a multitude of gods. Some Hindus believe in the system of three gods, while some Hindus actually believe in the existence of 330 million gods. However, learned Hindus who are well versed with their scriptures insist that a Hindu should believe in and worship only one god. The major difference between the Hindu and the Muslim perception of God is the common Hindus' belief in the philosophy of pantheism. Pantheism considers everything living and non-living to be divine and sacred. The Hindus therefore consider the trees, the sun, the moon, the animals, and even the human beings as manifestations of God. For the common Hindu, everything is God. Islam, on the contrary, exhorts man to consider himself and his surroundings as examples of divine creation rather than as divinity itself. Muslims therefore believe that everything is God's, God with an apostrophe S. In other words, we believe that everything belongs to God. The trees, the sun, the moon, and everything in this universe belong to God. Thus, the major difference between the Hindu and the Muslim beliefs is difference of the apostrophe S. The Hindu says everything is God. The Muslim says everything is God's, God with an apostrophe S. Allah Almighty says in the Holy Quran, "Come to common terms as between us and you." The first common term is that we worship none but Allah. Surah Al-Imran. The first common term is that we worship none but Allah. So let us try and find commonality by analyzing both Hindu and Islamic scriptures. Bhagavad Gita. The most popular among all the Hindu scriptures is the Bhagavad Gita. Consider the following verse from the Gita. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 20. The Gita is referring to people who are materialistic and therefore worship demigods besides the true God. Upanishads. The Upanishads are also considered sacred scriptures by the Hindus. Consider the following verses from the Chandogya Upanishad, Book 6, Chapter 2, Verse 1. Ekam Ivaditiyam. He is one only without a second. This word is mentioned in the first verse of Surah Ikhlas in the Holy Quran. Say, He is Allah, the One. Consider again the following verses from the Nakasya kasuj chanitana chadnipa. Of him there are neither parents nor lord. This word is mentioned in the third verse of Surah Ikhlas in the Holy Quran. He begotteth not, nor is he begotten. Consider the following verses from the Shvetasvatara Upanishad, chapter 4, verse 19. Natasya pratimasti. There is no likeness of him. This word is mentioned in the fourth verse of Surah Ikhlas in the Holy Quran. And there is none like unto him. The following verses from the Shvetasvatara Upanishad, chapter 4, verse 20, allude to the inability of man to imagine God in a particular form. His form is not to be seen. No one sees him with the eye. Those who through heart and mind know him as abiding in the heart become immortal. The Holy Quran, Surah Anam, verse 103, refers to this aspect in the following verse. No vision can grasp him, but his grasp is over all vision. He is above all comprehension, yet is acquainted with all things. Now I will say something about the concept of God in Vedas. Vedas are considered the most sacred amongst all the Hindu scriptures. There are four main Vedas: Rigved, Yajurved, Samved, and Atharvaved. Yajurved. Consider the following verses from the Yajurved. Natasya pratimasti. There is no image of him. It further says, as he is unborn, he deserves our worship. There is no image of him, whose glory verily is great. He sustains within himself all luminous objects like the sun, the moon, etc. May he not harm me. This is my prayer. As he is unborn, he deserves our worship. He is bodiless and pure, is mentioned in Yajurved, chapter 40, verse 8. He hath attained unto the bright, bodiless, woundless, sinless, the pure, which evil hath not pierced. Farsighted, wise, encompassing, he self-existent hath prescribed aims, as propriety demands, unto the everlasting years. Yajurved, chapter 40, verse 8. It is also mentioned in the Yajurved, chapter 40, verse 9. Andhatama provishanti ye asambhuti mupaste. They enter darkness, those who worship natural things. For example, air, water, fire, etc. They sink deeper in darkness, those who worship Shambhuti. Shambhuti means created things. For example, table, chair, idol, etc. It also mentions a prayer stating, Yajurved, chapter 40, verse 16. Lead us to the good path and remove the sin and makes us stray and wander. Now I will talk about concept of God in Atharvaved. Consider the following verses from Atharvaved, book 20, chapter 58, verse 3. Dev Moha Oshi. God is verily great. Now I will talk about concept of God in Rig Veda. The oldest of all the Vedas is Rig Veda. It is also the one considered the most sacred by the Hindus. The Rig Veda, book number 1, chapter 164, verse 46, mentioned that sages call one God by many names. The Rig Veda gives no less than 33 different attributes to Almighty God. Many of these are mentioned in Rig Veda, book number 2, chapter 1. Amongst the various attributes given in Rig Veda, one of the beautiful attributes mentioned in Rig Veda, book number 2, chapter 1, verse 3. For Almighty God is Brahma. Brahma means the creator. Translated into Arabic, this word it means Khalik. Muslims can have no objection if Almighty God is referred to as Khalik or creator or Brahma. However, Muslims definitely do not subscribe to the view that Brahma is Almighty God who has 4 heads. Each head has a crown and he has 4 hands. Nauzubillah. Muslims take strong objection to it. Describing Almighty God in anthropomorphic terms also goes against the following verse of Yajurveda, chapter 32, verse 3. Na tasya pratimasti. There is no image of him. Another beautiful attribute mentioned in the Rig Veda, book number 2, chapter 1, verse 3 is Vishnu. Vishnu means the sustainer. Translated into Arabic, it means Rabb. Again, Muslims can have no objection if Almighty God is referred to as Rabb or sustainer or Vishnu. But the popular image of Vishnu among Hindus is that of a god who has 4 arms, with one of the right arms holding the chakra, a discus, and one of the left arms holding a conch shell, riding a bird or reclining on a snake couch. Muslims can never accept an image of God. As mentioned earlier, this also goes against Yajurveda, chapter 40, verse 19. Consider the following verses from the Rig Veda, book number 8, chapter 1, verse 1. Ma chidanyad bi shamshata. O friends, do not worship anybody but him, the Divine One. Consider the following verses from the Rig Veda, book number 5, chapter 81, verse 1. The glory of the great Creator is immense. The same word is mentioned in Surah Fatiha, chapter 1, verse 2. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds. Besides, there are more references in the Rig Veda, book number 3, chapter 34, verse 11. He is infinitely merciful. There are more references in Yajurveda, chapter 40, verse 16. Guide us to the right path and prevent us from sinning so that we do not perish. The Holy Quran says the same thing, Surah Fatiha, chapter 1, verse 6 and 7. Show us the straight way, the way of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, those whose portion is not wrath and who go not astray. It is also mentioned in the Rig Veda, book number 6, chapter 45, verse 16. Worship him who is one and unique. Brahmasutra of Hindu Vedanta. The Brahmasutra of Hindu Vedanta is Ekam Brahma Ditya Naste Nahna Naste Kinchan. There is only one God, not the second, not at all, not at all, not in the least bit. भगवान एक ही है, दूसरा नहीं है, नहीं है, नहीं है, जरा भी नहीं है.